This is a trigger warning for this episode. We're dealing with some really heavy subjects, including animal death, human death, murder, and um, a house fire of great significance that included death. There are also some really heavy emotions discussed in this episode, and if you feel like you're not in a good place to listen to it, please feel free to skip it. We'll make sure that all of this information is summarized so that you don't miss out on anything. So we open up on Amadeus Springs Ranch, which is out here in East Texas. It's a beautiful property. I mean, it's kind of in the marshlands, right? I mean, just lush and green and so unlike so much of Texas. And tell me about what it looks like. I mean, architecturally.
So going full in on the Amadeus, Ichi's mother was a classical composer. So she came up with the name Amadeus Springs, and Ichi's father was like your kind of traditional, what is this, the 1870s? So he was probably like a second generation Texan cowboy, basically. You know, the two met in Houston. Ichi's dad was in town to get some supplies for the ranch. And Ichi's mother was conducting a concert, and they happened to meet, but you know, that's all tangential to say that the main buildings of the ranch take a lot of like Baroque European styles. So the main house is not as ornate as one of those big, you know, high Gothic, like Notre Dame type cathedrals, but it's definitely in the style of. There's a stable that has these, like, you know, white marbled Greek columns that support this big, like, red tiled Spanish roof. So it's kind of a mismatch of architectural styles, but very European and definitely like very much a hidden gem. You know, there's a lot of kind of like there's some marshland area. There's some kind of like rolling levees near a river that is pretty close to the Gulf of Mexico. So you get a lot of good fishing. You know, you'll get some like shipping traffic going down it from some of the smaller harbors upriver. Just a very idyllic, beautiful place.
Yeah, it's just this stunning oasis in the middle of this endless Texas marsh. And where do we find Ichi here on this ranch on a day such as today?
We see Ichi. How far back would you say this was? Pretty recently?
Yeah, maybe, let's say right now we're 2 years prior.
All right. So
to the
you see
events
Ichi.
of Wild West.
You see Ichi, still that small man in like a big outfit, but he is wearing this. It's so silly when you pan in on him. He's wearing this big like barrister judge powdered wig.
Oh yeah.
With, you know, kind of like normal Texan garb. You see him up front on like a lectern with a set of probably a dozen horses just kind of like sitting there. And so he has like a baton and he taps it against the lectern, and you see these horses, very well trained, kind of snap to attention. And you see Ichi up there, you know, he's beginning to follow his mother's steps as he's conducting this dressage dance. As this is where most ranches, one would say basically every ranch is very much focused on, you know, kind of livestock or maybe horse racing. Ichi's family went all in on dressage. They found a niche and they just went all in.
Well, and honestly, it makes sense, even with the name of the ranch, Amadeus Springs. You know, the most famous dressage school in the world is in Vienna, Austria, and it's the Lippizaners, and they do something very similar to what it is that Ichi's doing now. And this has been an art form for a long time, and it's pretty much sacred. I mean,
exactly.
to the people that practice it.
And when Ichi's parents decided that that's what they were going to do, it began from, you know, small, you know, kind of a small like 2-3 horse operation. But as the prestige has grown, there's actually been some correspondence between some of these very like high profile dressage people. They've had a couple of people from that Austrian school that I don't remember the name of, even though you just said it. They've had people come visit the ranch in recent memories. And so I think this is about a week or two, before there's going to be this big recital. And so Itchy is almost taking them through dress rehearsal, just making sure that they're on the ball between horse and jockey in terms of steps and in terms of, a little bit of Texan flair to this. At this point, Itchy has not yet met Evander. So Itchy has not realized how far he could take this. So it's very, I don't want to say simple, but very traditional dressage moves with a little bit of, there's a section where the jockeys jump off the horses make like a ring and just start kind of like walking around. And in the middle of the ring, there is a line dance going on.
Nice. Matt, I need you to never refer to somebody riding a horse as a jockey ever again unless they're racing. I love you so much. I'm going to go crazy. And this is the horse girl in me. I would just say rider. Term? Yeah, I would just say rider. Yeah.
Forgive me.
That's okay. You have sinned, my child, but that is okay. I forgave your sins long before you even committed them.
I will never make that mistake again. I promise.
I believe in you, and it's okay if you do. The horse girl in me has such a hard time sitting here while it happens.
Understandable.
Anyway, so we find you at this moment, and Itchy's really good at this. I mean, in a way that not a lot of people are good at this. It's almost like you and the horses have this inherent understanding of each other. Mm-hmm. It's pretty special. I mean, people don't listen to you, but these animals do.
And I think that's, you may be getting to this and alluding to this, but I think Itchy's mother has taken trying to be mean to Ezekiel, but definitely Itchy is the dressage expert, and Ezekiel is much more so like his father in that he's much better at kind of traditional ranching. So Ezekiel gets stuck with the shitty jobs. So, making sure these horses, get out to run around every now and again and, picking up the poop and like cleaning the stables. Whereas Itchy, he's the one in front of the people, conducting the horses, and he's up there, emceeing these recitals and these competitions with his mother. And so Itchy is kind of, it's implied that Itchy is going to get the ranch. And Ezekiel, at this point, Itchy and Ezekiel don't have a terrible relationship. It's definitely strained because that, golden child, black sheep relationship. But Itchy has no plans on kicking Ezekiel out at this point.
Yeah, and you know what? None of this makes any fucking sense to Ezekiel. He's older than you. He's tall, he's handsome, and he's fucking normal. He's normal, and you are this little fucking freak. And he's so pissed off every time he looks at you, knowing that your parents love you more than they love him. That this is going to be all yours someday, and not because of anything that he has any control over. He has money, he's good at poker, he has women falling over him all the time when he goes to town. Yep. Because this place is special, but he still wishes that he was like you, and that bothers him more than anything in the world. And I think while you guys don't have a relationship full of animosity, you've noticed this schism getting bigger and bigger year by year as you throw yourself more deeply into this thing that you're passionate about and you're good at and you're finding success at, and recognition, international recognition even, which is unheard of. Texas is a young state, and you guys are in the middle of fucking nowhere, and you have these people visiting you from Vienna and from Seville and Barcelona and all these places that have started sending you these beautiful horses. And this one horse that has more promise than any of them. It's a gift for you, Itchy. And that's fucked Ezekiel up.
Is this Evander?
Yeah, I think it is Evander.
So if I may, Evander is a draft horse, but Evander comes directly from London. And Evander was a gift from, not directly from the stock of, but like given the blessing of the Lord Mayor of London on its way over. So this is probably the most notoriety that Itchy has ever gotten.
Yeah, there's an article in the newspaper about it. It's crazy.
I was gonna say when the horse gets off the ship and Evander and Itchy meet, of course there is the immediate connection that this is my horse and you are my rider. But I think there's even like press there from as far as Houston and New Orleans, and even somebody from the St. Louis Post came all the way down the river to catch this moment.
Yeah, and I think this is where your fate really starts to turn. This is when people start showing up, offering you huge sums of money for these animals that you're training. I mean, this is unimaginable money. And I think one day, maybe a year after Evander shows up, your brother comes around with one of his friends. And this isn't a friend that you've seen a lot, but he's been around and he's a really good horseman. I mean, he always has animals that are incredibly well taken care of and that are really responsive and well trained, and they're animals that you admire when they show up. I mean, these are animals that he clearly loves a lot and has put a lot of time into. And he always takes time to ask you questions, and it's like your older brother's friend is taking an interest in you, your older brother's cool friend. I mean, this guy he's the coolest motherfucker you've ever seen. He's always incredibly well dressed, and he's a smooth talker, and he always has a joke and a smile, and he tosses a 3-cent nickel to every stable hand, and he's just throwing money around like he's made of it. This is Don Ruiz. You know Don Ruiz. Don Ruiz has been around a lot. He takes a really big interest in you and your horse training and your horses, especially in Evander. And Ezekiel's not always around. He's almost never around anymore. I mean, even looking at you makes him sick to his fucking stomach. He's so depressed about his life. He can't stand himself. He should be the golden child, and he is not. You're a freak, Itchy. That's all he says to you anymore. Whenever you try and make conversation with him, any attempts at connection you make, he denies. He pushes you away. He says, "Not now, Itchy." But Don Ruiz, he's close to your brother. He's friends with your brother, and he likes you, and he gives you money, and he's your friend, or at least you think he's your friend. And he pulls you aside one day, and I think you're probably out looking at the horses as they are out at pasture. They're enjoying their time. They're turned out. Even very well-trained fancy horses that do fancy horse things get to go outside for a while every day. And he looks at Evander and he says, "How much for that big old thing?" Evander, right? That's his name?
You see, so one thing that Itchy has picked up from his brother is when things get serious, Itchy drops his voice and he tries to sound intimidating like his brother. And so I think as this question comes out of Don Ruiz's mouth, you see Itchy's face darken, and Itchy just looks up at the man and says, "Why'd you ask that question? He's not for sale. That's my horse."
50,000? 100,000? How much? Zebulon, everything's got a price.
You'd have to go a lot higher to that. Even then, that's my horse.
400,000.
You never get between a man and his horse.
All right.
I think Itchy's not even having this. Like, he's pissed off.
Yeah, and he puts his hands up and tries to play it off a little playfully, but you can see the seriousness in his eyes.
And I think Itchy is not backing down.
Yeah, and I mean, and Don Ruiz isn't going to push it. After he offered you $400,000 and you got your big serious voice on, he's backing away physically. He can tell that he's made you very upset. And I think he leaves without saying anything to you. And it's probably a few hours, maybe later in the night, and you hear your brother come down the driveway, drunk, again, like always. he's become quite a bit of a lush recently, and you don't even understand why. I mean, he's handsome, he's smart, he's funny, he's rich. There's no reason that he shouldn't have the life that he wants to have, but he's so full of self-pity because he's not you. Is that it?
Everybody wants to be Itchy.
Everybody wants to be Itchy or wants Itchy. Does Itchy know that? I mean, does Itchy know that he has like this magnetic personality that, really attracts people and also repulses people simultaneously?
Not at all. Itchy is Itchy. And I think he's certainly noticed the fact that he, more people are cozying up to him when he goes out to enjoy a drink. And there are more people who, stop to say hello, even though Itchy's voice is Itchy's voice. And on the one hand, he notices, but I don't think he really notices it at all, which I think makes Ezekiel all the more angry.
Yeah. And I think from outside, you hear your brother, Zebulon, come here. And it's faint.
I think Itchy opens his window out to the front, and he just kind of pokes his head out, and he's just like, Ezekiel, 2:30 in the morning. What do you need at this moment that cannot wait until dawn?
I have something to show you.
May I remind you that it is 2:30 in the morning. What could be so interesting
You smell
that you
smoke.
have to show me?
You smell smoke.
I think at that, Itchy cuts himself off, throws on just like something to cover his pajamas, and runs out.
The barn is on fire, and the fire is growing faster by the second, and you see your brother kind of staggering back and forth in the driveway, just watching it burn.
I think Itchy there are so many emotions going on that Itchy is frozen in place.
Yeah, it's like this otherworldly hellfire. The fire's like crackling and dancing between these giant beams that are in the barn, and it's like this cacophony of noises. I don't know if you've ever been around a building fire before, but it's so incredibly loud. And you hear the animals inside, and you know that this is really bad, and that this is not a fire that's going to be put out.
Is Evander in the barn?
Yeah.
I think Itchy sprints into the barn without even giving Ezekiel a second look, and he goes immediately for Evander's stable. If he knows he's not going to be able to save all of these horses, probably not any of these horses, but he needs to get Evander out. Doesn't matter what the cost is.
Yeah, and I think Ezekiel kind of like stumbles behind you, and I think he's like ranting and raving in the way that only somebody who's, blackout drunk and pissed the fuck off can. And he's not making a lot of sense. He keeps saying, you made Don Ruiz angry. You made me look like an asshole in front of my friend. He's my friend. You made me look like an asshole.
I think normally Itchy is as supportive as he can be, but as he is moving like superhuman, like mother lifting a car to save her baby kind of superhuman, just adrenaline, he is moving at triple time, just like trying to open the latch, and there's like a beam, but Itchy is able to like push it out, burning the shit out of his palm, but like pushing it out of Evander's way as he's like getting Evander out of the barn.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, Itchy is just absentmindedly not even looking at Ezekiel, and he's just like, this was all your decision. I had nothing to do with this. You are the smart one. You are the rich one. You are the womanizing one. You had every chance to do anything in this world. And he's, as he's saying this, he's again, like not even looking at Ezekiel just like getting Evander out of the barn. Every single chance you had the option to do this. And I've tried to be supportive. I have been supportive of you my entire life. And this.
Ezekiel starts crying.
Don't give me those crocodile tears now.
Yeah, he's fully fucking sobbing.
This is your fault. This is your fault. You had the chance to do your own thing. I know that there have been talks about giving this ranch. I had plans for you. I was going to take this, split it in half, give half to you. Shit, if you wanted 70%, I would have given that to you. I would have given you the nice place. I don't need the rolling fields. I could have dealt with the cypress marshes. I would have given you the best land. I would have given you the house. All I ever wanted was to work together. And this is irredeemable. I cannot believe. No, I'm not even going to do that. I cannot believe that this is what it has come to. You can sit here and you can sob all you want. You can do whatever you want. You can think that this was the right decision, but in your heart, in your soul, for the rest of your days, you will know that you fucked up.
And he doesn't even reply. He's on his knees. He's sobbing into his hands on the ground. And I don't necessarily know if it's believable to Itchy or not. And I don't think it matters if it's believable to Itchy or not, because Ezekiel's just not speaking and not going to defend his actions. And the fire has jumped from the barn to the house. And you know that this is a loss.
I think as Itchy is just like, again, watching this happen, he knows that there's nothing he can do. I think from a window, he hears his mother, waking up, smelling smoke, hearing fire. You just hear from this open window, Itchy, what's going on? Itchy, what's... And it's cut off when you hear a beam just crack.
Yeah.
And you see part of the roof where Itchy's parents' room is. You see that part of the roof cave in. And I think Itchy just gets on Evander, looks at Ezekiel, and just shakes his head and he says, you can have the whole thing, but all this will ever be is ashes. You can clean this up. You can sell this to whoever you want. All this will ever be is ashes. And that is your fault. And before Ezekiel can do anything, he just walks away with him and Evander, not even the clothes on his back. And he just walks away into the night.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine what that sort of devastation would feel like to Itchy. I mean, the amount of loss is so incredible. It's nigh incomprehensible.
Because Itchy cared for these horses like they were his own children. Yeah. Not even to mention with the amount of stock that was in the stables, as well as the amount of money that is just gone, there were probably, and I mean, this is, 1870s money. There was probably well over $1 million worth of assets gone.
Yeah. I mean, and not only just, the livestock lives, which is obviously is devastating in a unique way because they were, trapped, but also the loss of your home and your entire family. You've lost your parents and your brother in one day. Whether or not your brother's alive or dead, I don't think matters. He's done something in anger and in a drunken rage that's unfixable. In the way that a drunk driver can wipe out a family in a single decision to get on the road. Ezekiel threw a lit match into a pile of hay and set your entire life ablaze. And I think we find Itchy maybe a few days later, desperate on the road. What? Purposeless? What's he?
You zoom into Itchy, and it is stark. He is dirty. He is covered. He's still covered in ashes. Mm-hmm. He's gaunt. He's pale. He's haggard, out of place. He's still wearing, this like a trench coat, cowboy hat, and pajamas because he hasn't even been able to bring himself to, he hasn't even found town at this point. He's just been wandering. And I think there was certainly a path to where, at this point, Evander could have gotten himself to a town where they would have recognized him. He could have explained the situation and they could have, spotted him some clothes, hot meal, maybe a bed to stay for a couple places. But Itchy, he's just been walking. And I think the whole time he's just been, I don't think he said a single word. He's just been kind of wordlessly like petting Evander. I think at this point you see them just walking next to each other. And I think at this point, Itchy has just resigned himself to that was it. My life as I know it was over. And I'm just waiting for this husk of a body to deteriorate.
Yeah, I think this is where you find yourself at a literal and a figurative crossroads. I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere. It's two dirt paths intersecting in the middle of a field. There's corn and wheat and just vast nothingness. Texas prairie. You don't know where either of these roads lead. But you did grow up hearing about rumors and superstitions about the sorts of things that happen to people who bury things that they love at a crossroads.
Okay, so I think what he does is there's a fence post near the side, and so Itchy reaches into his coat pocket and he finds a revolver that has 2 bullets left.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he and Evander stand there for a while. They're looking at each other wordlessly, but there's a sense of knowing. And I think both Evander and Itchy, unfortunately, have resigned themselves to this fate.
Mm-hmm.
They simply can't go on. And so Itchy ties Evander to one of these fence posts, and the lead is long enough to where Evander is able to stand in the middle of the crossroads. And he pulls out the revolver, and he, very, very slowly and very calmly, just kind of stroking Evander's head as he puts the revolver to the temple of Evander. And I think for the first time in probably days, he starts speaking. And it's barely a whisper, but you just see the scene, a man and his horse. And the only thing that he can say is, Evander, I'm sorry it had to be this way. I'm sorry it had to be this way. I'm sorry it had to be this way. He closes his eyes.
Okay, so you've just shot your horse at the crossroads?
I have.
What does Itchy do next?
I don't think Itchy knows quite what to do. I mean, he's heard the rumors, and he doesn't have a shovel. So I think he just tries to, kick some dirt as, respectfully as he can on top of Evander. And he just kind of sits down looking at the gun in his hands, just waiting for something.
I think as you grow increasingly desperate for something to happen, I mean, you're a man who's lost, literally everything, and you just shot the thing in this world that you love the most. And I think you're starting to really dig into the dirt with your hands, and the dirt's getting farther and farther under your nails, and you don't think you'll ever feel clean again, and you're positive this is not going to work. And once you've reached that state where you've leaned against Evander and you're just fucking losing it, you're like, I've done this for no reason. I think that's when she appears to you, and she looks a lot like your mother. Not quite your mother, is not perfect. Something's off. Her smile is a little too wide. It goes a little too far up her face. It's a little too toothy, and her eyes are not quite right. You can't put a finger on what makes them not right, but they're not right. And she holds her arms out to you as if to embrace you in a hug.
I think Itchy is he has fallen off the cliff of desperation, so I think he gets up and wordlessly takes the embrace.
Yeah, I mean, and her hands and her clothing is a facsimile of the real thing, but as she embraces you and wraps her arms around you for quite possibly the last time you'll ever hug your mother, you feel that she's just bone underneath the clothing. And she whispers in your ear, I see you're very desperate, man. I think I can help you.
Desperate as I've ever been.
What is it that you desire most in this world?
I want my life back. And that bastard of a cockroach that currently inhabits the smoldering wreckage that was my life. I don't just want him dead. I want him to suffer most unimaginable pain. I want him to know how it feels.
I can make all of your wildest dreams come true. There's a price, but I'm sure you're willing to pay it.
I don't care. Take whatever you need.
Beautiful. And she offers you her hand. She pulls back from the hug a little bit to offer you her hand to shake.
He takes it without a second thought.
And she shakes your hand and pulls you back into the hug. And as you're hugging her, you notice that Evander stands up, shakes himself off, and then she pulls back from the hug and she says, it's time for you to go now. You'll know what to do.
All right.
Good boy.
Justice